Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you stack silver and you want your daily news to be completely uncensored, especially with everything happening right now around the world, then you've come to the right place. Make sure you click subscribe and definitely click the bell so you never miss an upload. There is some very serious stuff happening, folks, and it's looking like it's not going to be getting any better anytime soon, and that is also reflecting with the pricing. Silver is going up, and I don't think it's going to be stopping, and we will be covering all of that in this video. 3 different articles: gold and silver push higher as Middle East tensions escalate, FOMC and US NFPs near. Also, silver rises over 1% on geopolitical turmoil. Be explaining what's going on with that. And then another one I'll try to squeeze in at the end, which is looking at the technical analysis, just giving the backstory on silver's price and what it's most likely going to do. And if you wanted to purchase some of this shiny stuff, I do have a deal right now, which is Maple Leafs for $375 over spot, minimum of $50. We have tons of other stuff. The new 2024 Eagles are in as well. Slayer at milesfranklin.com. So I'm sure you've heard by now that 3 U.S. soldiers were killed in Jordan. Biden came out saying that we are going to retaliate, but also at a time and place of our choosing. Iran has denied claims that it was involved in the drone attacks. There are fears that if the U.S. responds to these attacks, Iran will retaliate, escalating tensions in an already volatile Middle East environment. What does this mean? Higher gold and silver prices. What does this also mean? Things are escalating very quickly. Andy Schectman called this months ago. He said, I think the end game is trying to go to war with Iran. And this is exactly what's looking like is going to be unfolding. So I want to break this down, and then I want to go over silver rising 1% on geopolitical turmoil, and then we will break down the technical analysis. So please stick through because all of this is extremely important. I don't care if you're left, right, up, down, front, center, sideways. This is not a political channel, but we have to cover these politics because it does directly affect the price of silver, and we need to be updated and informed on a daily basis. So the U.S. has blamed Iran-backed militia for the deadly drone strikes on U.S. service personnel at an American base in northeast Jordan, with President Joe Biden pledging retaliation at a time and place of our choosing. Iran denied claims that it was involved in the drone attacks, and there are fears that if the U.S. responds, Iran will retaliate. It's a busy week for commodity traders with both Fed and BOE policy decisions on tap, while at the end of the week, the latest U.S. jobs report is released. Financial markets are currently pricing in the near 50-50 chance of a 25 basis point interest rate cut at the March 20th FOMC meeting, with around 136 basis point cuts seen in total this year. So right now, gold is has been stuck in a narrow $38 an ounce range for the last 12 days, with neither buyers nor sellers taking control of price action. The stalemate is likely to continue until Wednesday's FOMC decision, unless Middle East tensions ratchet up further. And that's a good point. There's a lot happening this week. FOMC meeting always brings a lot of volatility when Federal Chairman Jerome Powell comes out and says XYZ. The days leading up to it, things are crazy. And then afterwards, once the meeting happens and people see what these numbers are, then the markets are influenced again. And there's almost this completely new set of price changes. And it's usually going to be a very messy, very volatile week, especially with 3 different things happening, actually. So while Chairman Jerome Powell is unlikely to give a firm timetable as to when rate cuts will start, his language may give the markets a hint of future action. But until then, gold is likely to stay in a sideways pattern. So yeah, that's what we got with gold. But after weeks of underperforming gold, silver's put in a better shift over last week and paired some of its recent losses. The daily chart still looks negative, but if silver can break above the 20-day simple moving average, further losses are likely to be contained. So yeah, that's what's going on with gold and silver right now with price, in terms of pricing. But now let's go into silver rising over 1% on geopolitical turmoil. The price of the white metal climbed on Monday as mounting geopolitical tensions raised appetite for safe haven. Islamic resistance previously claimed responsibility for the deadly attack on United States outposts near the Jordan-Syria border, which resulted in the death of 3 American soldiers. Namely, Washington is rumored to be considered a potential military response to the attack, which could further push Middle East into turmoil. Silver added 1.21% to sell at $23.07 per ounce, and it's still currently sitting there as we speak. It is, to be exact, it is $23.17 now. So that's what we're looking at. And if you really want a good idea of where silver's headed, look at where gold was, what gold's doing now, and now look at what's happening with silver. Gold exploded all-time highs. Silver was nowhere near its all-time high, not even half. Silver follows gold. It lags behind, but always outperforms when it does catch back up. It's more volatile, higher highs, lower lows. If gold's going to rise 5-10%, silver will rise 15%. But also for the opposite. But since we saw gold go up and silver is finally starting to catch up and outperform gold, it's probably going to be to a much greater degree in the near term. Not saying it's about to hit over $50. I'm saying in terms of what gold's doing right now, silver's going to be outperforming gold as the gold to silver ratio lowers. Now, we're living in crazy times, so you cannot say for sure what's going to happen. But given the circumstances geopolitically, it also is looking like silver might be on somewhat of a rally and maybe not stopping anytime soon. So silver prices rise near $23 as geopolitical tensions improve safe haven bets. Fed is expected to maintain the status quo for the 4th time in a row. Silver price eyes a decisive break above $23. So it broke above $23 as well. So as it nears this, and this was written yesterday, as it nears this, deepening geopolitical tensions improve appeal for bullions. The white metal witnesses significant buying interest as volatility expands due to deepening Middle East crisis. Geopolitical tensions heightened after 3 U.S. service members were killed stationed in northeast Jordan by an aerial drone attack. And meanwhile, continuous attacks on commercial shipments through the Red Sea have kept broader markets on their toes. So this is ongoing. This isn't going to blow over. And that's the thing I really want people to understand is the stuff that we're covering on this channel, this isn't just going to blow over and in a month or so, everything's going to be fine. Things are escalating, and it's very, very scary because all it takes is one situation, like let's say Biden does retaliate like he said he will. All it takes is for that to happen, and boom, the 4th wall is broken, and the days of any type of normalcy, not only in the markets but our lives, could be drastically different, which is scary as a father because I want my daughter to grow up having somewhat of a normal life, whatever that looks like. And it's just it's very serious. So that's why you have to prepare. You don't have to try to predict the future, but you have to prepare for it. Now, however, White House National Economic Council Director Lael Brainerd said last week that the Iran-backed Houthis attacks on ships in the Red Sea appear to have less impact on their supply chains against other economies. And it's not even about the supply chains, it's more of them doing it. It's more of the notion itself, the message they're sending. This week, market participants will focus on interest rate decision of 2024, and that will be announced on Wednesday, so make sure that you guys are staying tuned because tomorrow is a big day for prices. So investors would keenly focus on whether Fed policymakers would soften their tone for the restrictive interest rates narrative amid moderate increase in core personal consumption expenditure, which is PCE price index data for December releases last week. So yeah, that's what's happening right now. We could also go we could go into some other things like how silver holds above $25 in solar, number 1 China as SLV ETF expands. We're talking about some different types of exchanges. and other areas that we could look at, like solar. We could even go a little deeper and go into some other news that I'll have to save for another video since we're already getting a little deep into this. But 4 states consider lifting taxes on precious metals, bringing the gold standard to another dimension that people thought would never be a reality. But it is looking like we're getting there. And this is a very interesting article. It came out today, fresh off the press, January 30th, 2024. Global silver demand forecasted to rise to 1.2 billion ounces in 2024. And they were predicting smaller, but it's looking like this demand is still going to be outpacing the supply by hundreds of millions of ounces. Mine production projected to rise 4% to 843 million ounces. But then we're talking about a demand of 1.2 billion, so that's well over 300 million ounces in the red, which is very serious. But it's actually much higher than that since they don't also incorporate military when they don't which is missiles and rockets and torpedoes and tanks and nuclear and satellites and surveillance and drones, everything, bullets, all of that is we're using a lot of silver. But the Silver Institute does not also use that silver, those numbers, in their forecast or in their annual demand. So 1.2 billion, more like 1.3, 1.4, who knows how many billions, or who knows what the number is, but I know it's a lot higher than 1.2 billion because I even showed how many millions of ounces is used in just the missile sector alone, and that was around 85 million ounces. So that alone is something that you also have to incorporate when you try to piece together this very deep rabbit hole of silver supply deficit or the silver shortage or supply demand fundamentals, and where that all leads to at the end of the day as well, because these numbers aren't accurate. They've had to revise these numbers. A couple months ago, they revised it because hundreds of millions of ounces were kind of just, or tens of millions, kind of just, got poof out of nowhere, came back, said they missed it. Who knows if that was purposely or not. But regardless, the whole point is that very, very, very fast supply, or very fast demand growing as we go green in military since silver wins wars, but also a very, very, very slow dwindling supply where we just cannot keep up. And that's only going to lead to one thing, which is higher silver prices. If you are an investor in first grade, one of the things or let's say in first grade, if you learn about investing, even though that's highly unlikely, or just about the value of something. Let's talk about value. What is the first thing you learn? Low supply, high demand pushes the price up. Low supply, that's basics, and that's exactly what's happening with silver, the fundamentals. So anyways, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Let me know what you think about this video. I'm going to have to break down this article in another one because, I really want to sit on that new information because it is very important, as well as this is. Let me know what you guys think about this. Please make your comments respectful. This is very scary stuff. It could be very, a lot of emotion. Make sure you guys invest with your head, not your heart, though, because emotion is where irrational decision making comes in, impulse buying, panic selling, doing things that's really dangerous as an investor. So yes, things are scary. You might be mad, sad, angry, worried, whatever it is. Try not to let that affect you in terms of investing. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to be scared. That is totally fine, and I feel like it's better to accept that instead of try to suppress that. Just like the serenity prayer, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. I love you guys. Make sure you subscribe. Member Slayer at milesfranklin.com if you wanted to purchase. It really helps me out. So yeah, anyways, thanks for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.